Little shorter lesson today. Today we're going to look at polyhedrons, so three-dimensional shapes. A polyhedron is basically a shape that has all sides that are polygons. So prisms and pyramids are two major categories that we're going to be dealing with. Prisms have sides that are rectangles. Pyramids have sides that are triangles. Pyramids come to a point. Prisms generally do not. Things that are not polyhedron or polyhedra are things that have circles as bases, things like cylinders and cones and spheres, although we will study them much the same as prisms and pyramids. Okay? But technically, cylinders, cones, and spheres are not polyhedrons. Today we're basically going to be focusing on naming things. It's pretty simple. When we name a prism, we're going to name it by its non-rectangular side. Unless, of course, all the sides are rectangles, then it's a rectangular prism. Simple. We name a pyramid, we name it by its base. The base is the non-triangular side. Okay? A prism also has a base. The base is often on the bottom, but not always. And even though cylinders and cones are not polyhedra, they're going to use the same rules as similar polyhedras. In other words, cones are pretty much going to use exactly the same rules as pyramids. Okay? Cylinders are going to use the same rules as prisms. Spheres are going to be their own animal. We'll deal with that later. So today what we're doing is we're simply starting out by telling A if it's a polyhedron and then naming it. So this first one, all the sides are rectangles. When all the sides are rectangles, it's very simply a rectangular, and since all the sides are rectangles, prism. Okay? For B here, my non-triangular side has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides to it. So that's a hexagon. Sorry, I can't spell apparently today. And is that a prism or a pyramid? Well, it's pretty obvious. It's coming to a point. The sides are triangles. That's a pyramid. This next one, we could kind of sort of think of as a circular pyramid, but it's really a little different because we can't have circles in polyhedrons. So this one is not a polyhedron, but it is a cone. And any of you have ever had one of those types of ice cream cones, you've seen that shape before. Number one here, first off, is it a prism or a pyramid? Well, pretty clearly it is a pyramid. Okay? So, and we name the pyramid by the shape of its base. The base is a rectangle, but it's even more than that. In this case, it's a square. So it's a square pyramid. Number two, well, what the heck is that thing? The base isn't even a normal shape. It's kind of a semicircle prism type of thing, but that's not a polyhedron. It's not something we talk about. So this one actually doesn't even have a name. None. It's not any sort of polyhedron at all. Number three is the first one you're going to do on your own, and I want you to look really carefully at it. I'm going to give you a hint. This is the base. Okay? It's a little bit tricky. Give it a shot. The other thing we're going to talk about today, and again, this is going to be fairly obvious, is the idea of taking a cross-section of a prism or a pyramid. And basically what we're doing is we're saying we're taking the prism or pyramid and we're passing a plane through it and seeing what the intersection between the prism or pyramid and the plane looks like, and it's almost always outlined here in purple for us. And all it's going to ask us is what's the name of that shape. So when they're asking here, it's what's the name of this particular shape? Well, gosh, it's got 6 sides, so it must be a hexagon. And here, this particular shape happens to be a triangle. This is a little tricky, but what is this particular shape that the purple is outlining? That's your next question. We can follow it with what's this particular shape when the plane intersects the cone. That would be a circle. Once again, the plane intersecting the sphere makes a circle. This one's a little tricky, but we know these top and bottom lines have to be parallel because they're on opposite sides of the cube. So this is a trapezoid. All right. That's really about all that's going on here in this section, folks. I don't think you're going to find it terribly difficult. Probably the easiest section we have in Chapter 11. So enjoy it, answer, and name a few shapes, and we'll move right on to Section 5.